Meanwhile, the families of people who've been affected by the controversial hormone pregnancy drug Primodos have been refused permission to take their case to court. More than 200 campaigners began the legal action after using the drug between the 50s and the 70s, claiming it caused serious birth defects. Our home editor, Jason Farrell, joins us now from central London. A bitter disappointment for campaigners, Jason.
Yeah, I've spoken to some of the families and they are disappointed with this ruling. They had hoped that they would be able to get this to court and argue their case in front of a full hearing, but this has been struck out by Mrs. Justice Yip, I think really on two grounds. One is that she feels that the science hasn't progressed enough to prove their case, and secondly that they don't have the funds to actually take this case to court. She said, "I recognise the profound disappointment my judgment will bring for the claimants. They believe, and will no doubt continue to believe, that HPTs, that's hormone pregnancy tests, were the cause of birth defects and the loss of babies which they have suffered. And no one has been able to confirm definitively that this belief is wrong. The claimants do not believe justice was done in 1982, and they have fought hard to seek justice since. But what she says is since that original claim back in 1982, simply the evidence hasn't moved forward enough for them to have a realistic chance of success in this case." Now, I think it's important to stress it's understandable that Bayer, the manufacturer in this case, would try to defend and pick holes in their case and defend their reputation and defend their shareholders. I think there is more of a grey area over the role of the government here, who've stood alongside the manufacturers against the claimants, because of course 3 years ago they apologised to the claimants for failing them following a review that the government itself ordered by Baroness Cumberledge, which found that there was avoidable harm caused by these drugs, as well as mesh and valproate. And the government was asked to apologise, and they did apologise. Here, Matt Hancock made that apology, and he described it as a scandal. And I think the claimants in this case will say, well, why then is the government using taxpayers' money to fund a legal claim that essentially defends the reputation of a German pharmaceutical company and stops them, the families that the government apologised to, from having their day in court? And that they will say that that's not a particularly good look for the government. And I think it means that now, from speaking to them, they're not going to go away. They're going to continue to come to the government for compensation, because they feel that the Cumberledge review showed that they were failed by regulators. It stated quite clearly that the drug should have been removed from the market back in 1967, but it stayed on the market for 8 or 9 years longer than that, in which time they feel a lot of babies were damaged. They're not being able to prove that conclusively in court. They won't get the opportunity to do so, but I think they will still come for the government and say to them they've been told to give compensation, redress to these victims, and actually they've stopped them having their day in court. But now it's time to perhaps assist and help this group of disabled campaigners.
Jason, thank you.